Aquarius, welcome to the first half of February 2017 general tarot reading. It's Rena here. I feel like I was just doing these readings, and I was doing the last half of January, and now I'm doing the first half of February. So I started with your sign, and there's actually on the 10th of February there's going to be a lunar eclipse in the sign of Leo, which is your opposite sign. So that's the 7th house of committed partnerships. And, and it's also, I'm trying to think if the 7th house is legal. The 7th and the 9th houses deal with legal matters. The 7th house deals with courtrooms. There could be something with law. I don't know if the 9th house is lawsuits or the 7th house. But it could be something there where there's an ending to some kind of a case that may have been, that you've been dealing with. Maybe it's divorce, for some people, where that just becomes something that you decide to do or you have done. But it's an eclipse, so it's kind of like one of these things where you have to kind of just deal with whatever happens. It's not really anything you can control. And I feel that for some people, even with these lunar eclipses, it could be a time of also finding out things about a, spouse or something that's very powerful and long-lasting that is leaving your life. And, I tend to think that these can be positive things, not just negative. If you want to stay with a partner and you're like, no, I don't want to be divorced from my partner, then maybe it won't happen in that way. Maybe it will be that you grow closer, that you realize that you really do care. And maybe what goes away is all of the animosity that came before. So I don't think we can just say things in a cut and dried way. And actually, to tell you the truth, I've also read that if there's not a planet that's like kind of within orb of this particular full moon or lunar eclipse, and it's at 22 Leo, I believe. So if it's not within a few degrees of that it may not, necessarily affect you that strongly. I've had it happen where it was directly hitting one of my planets, and I can vouch for the fact that it was something that had a dramatic impact upon my life. So, and I think in my case it wasn't an actual eclipse, but just a full moon. So, if you don't have any planets in the 7th house, and if you've never had your chart done, of course you wouldn't know that, so that's something to kind of find out. But since these are general readings, I'm just kind of like talking about the general trends. But anyway, I probably thoroughly confused 90% of you, but in any case, I just want to tell you that there was a lunar eclipse on the 10th. Okay. Do you love the tarot or what? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is so freaking on point. Okay, definitely transition. Number 10, I got 2 10s in the top row and a 1. So endings, beginnings, okay? And in the past position, we have an ending. And the theme is an ending. This is for the first half of the month, which includes that eclipse. We have the 10 of Swords. Feeling of betrayal. Now, this is a general reading, so I don't want to just like go right into a love reading. By the way, if you are not subscribed to my channel and you're interested in pure love readings, I've already done one for February, so check it out. Just look on my channel and it'll be there for your sign, Aquarius. I did that, I don't know, earlier in the month of January. So this is for February, and this is a general reading, but for some reason you have felt a sense of betrayal at this point. And we feel betrayal for different reasons. This could definitely be on the work front, for sure. This could even be friendship. It could be any area. And, it's interesting because these are swords. So the person who did this to you could be an air sign or have an air signature in their chart, be kind of brainy, be kind of detached. Gemini, Aquarius, Libra individual. But because it is swords, it could be that this is your perception of what happened. That's another thing that we always have to remember, that there are two sides to the story, and you may feel like somebody did this to you. Oh yeah, by the way, you're a sword, you're an Aquarius, an air sign. I wasn't even making that connection. But you may have felt that somebody betrayed you. Maybe you felt somebody at work betrayed you, and it's your opinion and you're sticking to it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the other person feels that they did something wrong. So like I say, we have all these options depending on your particular situation. And of course, since it's a general reading, it may not resonate with you whatsoever, but just covering all my bases, right? And in the past position, there's the 10 of Cups. Now, the reason I was starting to get into that relationship mode of a general reading was because this is a card specifically connected to marriage. And you see that they have their toast and their arms are together, entwined, or is it intertwined? Anyway, so this could be, and this is another 10, so it's another milestone. For some people, you might have gotten married, but see, this would have been, I think, even more of a quickie marriage, but who knows? It's the past. Maybe it's the recent past, maybe it's the distant past. You get married, and now you're getting betrayed by that person that you thought was the one. This person may be this person may be a water sign. Okay, so it's possible that for some, whenever I mention the possible signs, like I was saying something about that, it's not just like I'm just saying anything. It's because it depends on the individual, and in some cases, the past, suit of the tarot gives an indication to who was the person. And sometimes I feel like it's the present card. But in the past position, it could be somebody who is a Cancer or a Scorpio or a Pisces individual. And in some instances, maybe this was the person. Maybe you got married or were going to get married, and someone else came along and you ended up getting screwed by another person. And maybe the original person comes back, because we have 2 cups flanking that 10 of Swords. So I don't know if this is the person in the past, if you were married and this happened to it. The 10 of Cups can also just be general well-being. So you may have thought you had it made. Maybe you've landed this incredible job and then it turned out to be anything but. And so there's just some feeling of being let down from what was once a very promising, a super duper promising scenario. But luckily, we have in the near future coming in the Ace of Cups, or alongside that sense of betrayal. So something is ending and something is beginning. A new love or a new job offer. It could be an offer of some sort. But this is something that is speaking to your heart. And so it's going to be much more compatible with what you want to do in life if this is a job situation. If it's a person who you're dealing with, and it's somebody new, because aces speak of beginnings, this person is going to be more of a soulmate type of connection instead of just either someone that you were just like totally hot and heavy for, or someone who maybe mentally you had this rapport but you didn't necessarily have a soul connection, because this could be a fellow air sign that you were with, and maybe you were really compatible with them intellectually, but maybe they were more, you should have kept it as a friendship, and that was your big mistake. I don't know. The higher message is the Chariot. So it speaks of, kind of like triumphing over the situation, and that certainly would be the case if Ace of Cups comes in. That means that you are moving on and you're having forward movement because there's a new beginning, and you're doing this by channeling, or that's not the proper word, not channeling, but marshaling your forces and really, staying on task. This man, he's holding the reins of the horse. That is symbolic for one-pointedness of attention, when you are not allowing yourself to get distracted by drama and things around you. That is what the Chariot card represents. So this could be in a career setting where you may have been thrown off your game by somebody else's negative behavior towards you. And when there's betrayal, what that means is that you really felt lured in to somebody, and they turned on you in some way. They fooled you. They, took advantage of you, something. And that can lead people to feel like really bad, and yet for some reason, if there's something that you really want to do, maybe you're going to, it sounds like there's some kind of an ending at that particular place, but you don't want to fall apart. So that you have to keep things together, and that's what this is about. But there's a victory involved in this. Sometimes this can involve a Cancer individual. So if that was a water sign individual, then it might be a Cancer person. A Cancer person for the average Aquarian is a totally different type of an energy. So you would have to probably have a lot of water in your chart to be able to identify with somebody who is a Cancer, because they are coming from their feelings on a regular basis, and they may not, but who knows, if it's someone that you meet at work, for instance, you may have things in common that kind of bind you together. This could also speak of the period of time between late June and late July. That'll be a particularly powerful time for you. So that may, if you are starting a new job, it may kind of blossom in the summertime, in the heart of the summer. What crosses you is the World card, and I had spoken of transition. This is the last card of the Major Arcana. And this card is about graduation day. And I'm speaking about the cycles of life, and there may be a cycle that's ending, and you may not be ready to close the door for some reason. And there's many reasons why. You're a fixed sign. So even though Aquarius is associated with erratic behavior and unpredictable behavior, you tend to be quite consistent in your own bizarre way. So when you're faced with transition, you're not necessarily going to be at your best, because trying to navigate that may be a little bit challenging for you, for all fixed signs. Now, I'm recording this before the new moon in your sign, and some of you are going to be watching before the 27th of January. So that could be ushering in part of that new beginning, as represented by the Ace of Cups. However, at the same time, you may be finishing off the old cycle, because you're not all going to be born around the 27th. Some of you are going to be born most of you are going to be born in February. So then you're going to have the sun in the 12th house until your actual birthday. So that's a time to let go of all of the things that have, been in the past, that have kept you feeling this sense of resentment, perhaps, because of some action that somebody else took. And it would behoove you to really make an effort not to allow anything to keep you in a state of what I would call resentment, actually, because that is something that fixed signs have a tendency to do, to kind of, stay in that space of, being upset about somebody who did them wrong. And that won't get you to the new phase, which is that the Ace of Cups. I need my magic wand. I need a new magic wand because I lost my old one. I like to point at the cards from a distance. But anyway, so I said that. Now, the upcoming thing, now, of course, I did say that the Ace of Cups is upcoming, but that can be kind of like happening concurrently with the main focus. This is either advice or up and coming. This could be about a decision that you have to make. It could be with a work situation. You may be choosing between two things. Again, even if you got betrayed, you may still have the ability to stay at the old place. But the sign is irrevocably that things have changed and you have this new offer. Maybe it's more heart-centered, but maybe less money. This is a card of practicality because there's pentacles, but it can be that you're also working two jobs, and this can make your life a little bit hectic. And if you met somebody that you've fallen in love with, you may feel like you don't have enough time to devote to them, and it may show that you're very busy, and that can be good for keeping your mind off of anything that happened negatively. But by the same token, you might feel a little bit frenzied. The outcome is the Five of Cups. So you're going to have to grieve a loss that has happened, and that grieving and that acknowledgement will catapult you into a new cycle of happiness. And this card, by the way, too, could be about traveling overseas and accepting it and working maybe overseas too. Okay, but this may be what's keeping you from everything else moving forward, from that closure of the World card. And so you need to really feel your feelings and not run away from them. And if you feel sadness, allow it to be. The 5 indicates perhaps some ups and downs in that area because it's an unstable number. So you may one day feel cool and like everything's okay, and then the next day you're grieving again. So allow time to accept, when people have betrayed you, especially if you put a lot of faith in them. And, this could be like, with if this was a marriage, you really may have felt like this person changed and you didn't even see it coming. You're going to have to accept the fact that some people are really hurting, and they are trying to make themselves feel better in any way they can. And I know that that's not enough of an excuse to go and hurt somebody else. But by the same token, they may not think that they are hurting you. They may think that, or they may not even be in touch with what they're doing to somebody else. They're so focused on meeting their own needs that they don't realize they're creating chaos around them. And in those situations, see what happens. Sometimes if you see what happens, those people don't necessarily stay with that other person if they leave you for somebody else. It could be just like them acting out. Maybe sometimes they realize that they were in the wrong situation. Maybe the Ten of Cups represents this facade that everything was perfect, and it really wasn't, not for them at least. And they had to leave. And you know, I know that Aquarius knows this more than anyone, that we don't own anybody. And if somebody wants to leave, let them leave. Let them, you know, don't try to hold on to something that is just not there for the other person. And don't take it as an indictment against you that there's something wrong with you. That's the other thing that you have to avoid doing, which is not always easy. It's not always easy to think that, oh, well, it's no big deal. But you have to. And you're going to be just fine. But you have to feel your feelings too. And let me pick one more card just to... There we go. Expansion. Because I don't like to leave on a card of somebody grieving. Expansion. I think that some of you are definitely thinking about travel. This could be for business. And you're seeing that there are bigger... you know, I think of that song, Wide Open Spaces. You know, that there's something bigger than where you're at right now. And, you know, you're standing at this moment in time, you know, maybe, you know, poised to really break open and do something major victories. And this is kind of like a hiccup, you know, what has happened to you. So just keep this in mind. It's very positive. It's in the future. And it's expansive. It's creative, number 3. So take care, Aquarius. Happy birthday to you guys. And if you'd like a private reading, you can click on the link below this video. Otherwise, have a great first half of February. And, you know, at some point during the first half, I'm going to be doing my March love readings, so check out those when they become available, and take care. Bye.